Top 12 Lincoln Memorial Pennies Worth Big Money. Welcome to Numismatic Vault Extra. Today, we're exploring some of the most valuable top 12 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent pennies from the United States of America, United States. In this video, we'll take a close look at their current market values, highlight well-known era coins, and explain the specific conditions that make certain Lincoln Memorial pennies extremely rare. This includes copper compositions, unique color variations, and special characteristics that have turned these coins into major players in the coin collector and investor world. These rare treasures are not just pieces of history. They are among the most valuable coins collectors are actively hunting today. So, if you're a coin enthusiast or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of American currency, backhand index pointing right, this video is for you. Let's get started with the first coin. Magnifying glass tilted left. The hidden legend of Lincoln wheat pennies and the 1981 D copper cent. Long before digital money, credit cards, and online banks ruled the world, the true heartbeat of America lived in its coins. Small, humble, and often ignored, these pieces of metal passed through countless hands, silently carrying history, struggle, and opportunity. Among them, no coin tells a deeper story than the Lincoln cent, a coin so common on the surface, yet capable of holding unimaginable value beneath its worn copper skin. The story begins in 1909, when the United States introduced the Lincoln wheat penny, marking the first time a real person appeared on everyday American coinage. Abraham Lincoln's face was chosen not just for honor, but as a symbol of unity, sacrifice, and resilience. The wheat stalks on the reverse spoke of growth, survival, and the strength of the American people. Values pressed forever into copper. For decades, these wheat pennies flowed through America's economy, from war years to the Great Depression, from farm fields to factory floors. Most people spent them without a second thought. Yet within these millions of coins, tiny variations, mistakes, and rare compositions were quietly created. Accidents of history that would later become some of the most valuable small coins ever known. By the time the wheat design ended in the late 1950s, Lincoln cents had already entered legend. But the story did not stop there. The Lincoln penny continued evolving, and by the early 1980s, America faced rising metal costs that would change coin production forever. This transition period is where mystery, rarity, and hidden wealth truly begin to emerge. The year 1981, especially coins struck at the Denver Mint with the D mint mark, sits quietly at the edge of this transformation. These coins were still struck in solid copper, heavy in the hand, rich in tone, and far different from the lighter zinc coins that would soon replace them. While millions were made, not all were the same, and that difference is where fortunes are born. During this era, experimental strikes, unusual planchets, and off-metal errors quietly slipped into circulation. Some 1981 D cents were struck on copper blanks never meant for that year. Others show abnormal weight, color, or strike depth, clues that something extraordinary happened inside the mint. These are not coins you recognize instantly. They are coins you discover. Collectors know that true value doesn't shout, it whispers. A rare copper cent doesn't sparkle like gold or shine like silver. Instead, it carries a deep, warm glow, the color of aged history. When a coin like this appears with the right weight, the right strike, and the right story, its value can leap far beyond face value and into life-changing territory. What truly fuels the imagination is the idea that some of these coins still exist unnoticed. They rest in old jars, inherited collections, forgotten drawers, and childhood piggy banks. Passed down through generations, they survive not because they were treasured, but because they were overlooked. And sometimes, being overlooked is what preserves greatness. The American coin market thrives on rarity, condition, and story, and few stories are more powerful than a common penny turning into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. High-grade copper cents with unusual characteristics can command staggering prices when verified, not because copper itself is rare, but because that exact moment in minting history can never be repeated. There is something deeply emotional about a penny holding such potential. It represents the American dream in its purest form, that something small, ignored, and underestimated can one day change everything. It's not just about money. It's about possibility. The idea that fortune doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits patiently. Serious collectors understand that authentication is everything. When a rare cent is examined, weighed, and professionally confirmed, its identity becomes permanent. At that moment, the coin stops being pocket change and becomes a historical artifact. A verified rarity can ignite bidding wars, private sales, and long-term investment interest that pushes its value higher with time. History teaches us that the most valuable coins were rarely recognized at birth. They became priceless because time revealed their uniqueness. The same principle applies here. As years pass, as collections are locked away, and as surviving examples grow fewer, the remaining coins grow stronger in value and legend. The Lincoln cent has always reflected America itself: humble beginnings, hard labor, quiet strength, and unexpected greatness. From wheat fields to modern industry, from copper abundance to metal scarcity, the penny has evolved alongside the nation. That journey is embedded in every strike, every flaw, and every rare survivor. This is why experienced collectors caution against spending old copper cents without a second look. Once spent, a potential treasure vanishes forever. Once examined, it might reveal something extraordinary. A coin does not need to make you rich overnight to be powerful. Sometimes its true power lies in opening a door you never knew existed. So if you ever hold an old Lincoln cent in your hand, especially a heavy copper one marked with a small D beneath the date, pause for a moment. You are not just holding money. You are holding history, mystery, and possibility. And in the quiet world of rare coins, that combination has changed more lives than anyone ever expected. Next coin. The year 1982 stands like a thunderclap in the long history of American coinage, a moment when something ancient quietly ended and something entirely new took its place. Although the Lincoln wheat penny itself had disappeared decades earlier, the spirit of copper money was still alive in 1982, breathing its final breath through the last true copper Lincoln cents. These coins were not wheat pennies by design, but they carried the same soul, the same metal, and the same weight of history that once defined America's earliest pocket change. For generations, copper pennies were more than money. They were symbols of permanence, solidity, and trust. From the early 1900s through the mid-20th century, Americans grew up with the weight of copper in their hands. The wheat pennies told stories of world wars, economic collapse, recovery, and hope. By 1982, that long copper tradition was under threat, not from war or politics, but from rising metal prices that made the penny itself too valuable to produce. This is where the mystery of the 1982 Lincoln cent begins. In one single year, the United States Mint made a quiet but historic decision to change the very heart of the penny. Some coins were struck using the old copper alloy, while others were made with a new zinc core coated in copper. To the untrained eye, they looked nearly identical, but in reality, they were completely different creatures. The copper 1982 pennies were the last echoes of an era that began with the wheat cent. They shared the same copper richness, the same warm tone, and nearly the same weight as their ancestors. These coins were never meant to be special. They were simply the final survivors of a dying tradition, released into circulation without ceremony, without warning, and without protection. Millions of people spent them without hesitation. They rolled them, dropped them, scratched them, and lost them. But a small number escaped heavy wear. A small number remained sharp, clean, and untouched. And an even smaller number were struck with unusual precision, creating varieties that collectors would later chase with near obsession. The fascination around these coins exploded when people realized that weight alone could reveal hidden value. Copper versions felt heavier, more substantial, as if history itself had mass. That realization turned ordinary pennies into objects of scrutiny. Suddenly, kitchen scales, magnifying glasses, and old jars became tools of discovery. What truly fuels the legends around the 1982 copper cent is scarcity through survival. While millions were minted, only a tiny fraction remain in pristine condition today. High-grade copper examples, especially those without mint marks, stand as rare survivors of an industrial shift that changed American money forever. Collectors understand that these coins represent the end of something sacred. Once the mint switched fully to zinc, the penny lost its historic weight and presence. The copper cent became a relic, and relics gain power with time. Each passing year removes more from circulation, tightening supply and deepening desire. Stories circulate of people finding copper 1982 pennies in old collections and refusing to spend them, sensing that they were holding something important. While not every coin is worth a fortune, some certified examples command serious attention, not because of hype, but because they represent a final chapter that can never be repeated. It is important to understand that real wealth in coin collecting is not magic. It is patience, knowledge, and preservation. Coins do not change lives overnight for everyone, But history has shown again and again that those who recognized transitions early were rewarded later. The Lincoln cent itself is one of the longest-running designs in American history, and 1982 marks its most dramatic transformation. That year divided the penny's story into two worlds, before and after copper. Owning a copper 1982 cent is like holding the last heartbeat of an old America. When people speak emotionally about these coins, they are not just talking about money. They are talking about memory, weight, and loss. The copper penny feels different because it belongs to a different time, when money itself felt more real. Not every 1982 penny will make someone rich, and honesty demands that truth. But within that year exist coins that are historically powerful, collectible, and increasingly respected. Value grows quietly, not loudly, and often rewards those who wait. This is why experienced collectors never rush. They study, they weigh, they protect, and they learn. They understand that markets move, but history only deepens. A preserved copper 1982 Lincoln cent becomes more meaningful with every passing decade. So if you ever come across a 1982 Lincoln penny that feels heavier than expected, do not dismiss it. Hold it carefully. Because while it may not promise instant fortune, it carries the final breath of America's copper age, pressed into metal, waiting for someone who understands its true story. Next coin. The story surrounding the 1996 Lincoln cent begins not with an ancient design, but with a powerful misunderstanding that reveals how legends are born in the world of coins. By the mid-1990s, the Lincoln penny had already passed through nearly a century of transformation, carrying echoes of the wheat era even though the design itself had long vanished. What remained was the memory of copper, weight, and tradition, things people still expected to feel when they held a penny. By 1996, American money felt lighter, both physically and emotionally. The solid copper cents of the past were gone, replaced by zinc cores wrapped in a thin copper skin. To many, this change felt like a quiet loss. People still searched for the old feel, the old sound, the old value, even when the design no longer matched their expectations. The Denver Mint struck millions of 1996 Lincoln cents, releasing them into circulation without ceremony. These coins were made to be spent, forgotten, and replaced. No one imagined that decades later, people would be studying them closely, weighing them, inspecting surfaces, and wondering if something rare slipped through unnoticed. The fascination comes from human nature. Whenever money changes, rumors grow. Some believe older metal was reused. Others believe mistakes were made behind closed doors. These stories thrive because history has proven, many times, that rare coins often come from years no one cared about at the time. The Lincoln cent itself carries enormous symbolic weight. Abraham Lincoln's portrait has survived wars, depressions, and social revolutions. Even when the wheat ears disappeared from the reverse, the legacy of those early pennies never left public memory. That emotional connection fuels modern myths. Collectors know that value is not only about age. It is about survival, condition, and narrative. A common coin struck in extraordinary condition can outperform an older coin that suffered neglect. This reality is what keeps attention on coins like the 1996 cent. Most 1996 pennies were damaged quickly. They scraped against other coins, slid through machines, and lost their shine within weeks. Very few survived with clean surfaces, sharp details, and untouched color. Those survivors stand out today like time capsules. Another layer of intrigue comes from production quality. During the 1990s, speed often mattered more than perfection. Dies wore down quickly, strikes varied, and subtle differences appeared from coin to coin. These quiet variations create endless curiosity. People searching for treasure often misunderstand value as instant wealth. Real coin history teaches patience. Coins gain importance slowly, as years pass and supplies thin. What seems ordinary today can feel irreplaceable tomorrow. The belief that a single penny could change a life overnight is not pure fantasy. It is born from rare, documented moments in history. But those moments were built on decades of preservation, not impulse or hype. What gives modern Lincoln cents emotional power is their connection to something lost. They are reminders of when American money felt heavier, stronger, and more permanent. Even zinc cents borrow their identity from copper ancestors. Coins like the 1996 cent exist in the shadow of the wheat penny legacy. They are not wheat cents themselves, but they live in a world shaped by them. That connection matters deeply to collectors. History often rewards those who ask questions instead of following noise. Serious collectors study context, not rumors. They understand that truth strengthens value, while exaggeration destroys trust. The Lincoln penny has always been more than 1 cent. It has been a witness to American life. Every design change marks a shift in how the nation sees itself and its future. So if you ever find a 1996 Lincoln cent in unusually pristine condition, do not dismiss it, but do not chase fantasy either. Respect the coin for what it truly is, a modern piece of a long, evolving story. In the end, real fortune in coin collecting does not come from believing every legend. It comes from understanding history deeply, preserving carefully, and recognizing that value grows quietly, long before the world notices. Next coin. The story of the so-called 1999 wheat penny begins not in a minting room, but in human imagination. It begins in the quiet moment when someone looks at a small copper-colored coin and wonders if history might be hiding in their palm. That question, simple and innocent, has fueled some of the greatest discoveries in coin collecting, and it is exactly how legends are born. By 1999, the Lincoln cent had already lived many lives. It had survived world wars, economic collapse, social revolutions, and dramatic changes in American industry. Although the wheat design was long gone, its memory still lived on in the minds of people who grew up hearing stories about heavy copper pennies and rare dates worth fortunes. The Denver Mint struck millions of 1999 Lincoln cents during a time when America was stepping into a new millennium. Computers were everywhere, the internet was growing, and money itself was becoming less physical. In that moment, small coins felt almost invisible, which is often when history quietly reshapes itself. Many people believed copper was still hiding in modern cents. The color looked the same. The feel felt familiar. And because the transition from solid copper to copper-plated zinc happened quietly years earlier, confusion lingered. That confusion gave rise to powerful myths that still circulate today. The Lincoln cent carries emotional weight unlike any other American coin. Abraham Lincoln represents endurance, unity, and sacrifice. Every penny bearing his image feels like a continuation of a long national story, even when the design changes. That emotional connection makes people believe that something meaningful must still be hidden within. The idea that a modern penny could secretly be made of solid copper captures the imagination because history has trained us to expect surprises. Real coin legends, true ones, often came from years no one paid attention to at the time. That pattern encourages belief, hope, and relentless searching. Most 1999 pennies lived rough lives. They were tossed into jars, scraped across counters, crushed in machines, and forgotten. Very few were saved carefully. That reality alone creates scarcity in top condition, even for modern coins. Collectors know that condition can transform value. A coin that survives untouched while millions around it are destroyed becomes a witness to time. Survival itself becomes the story, and stories are what collectors truly chase. Another layer of fascination comes from minting variations. High-speed production can leave behind subtle differences, strike strength, surface texture, alignment, that escape notice for years. These quiet differences often separate ordinary coins from exceptional ones. People often misunderstand value as instant wealth. True value grows slowly, patiently, as years pass and supplies disappear. Coins do not shout their importance. They whisper it, waiting for the right moment to be understood. The myth of the 1999 wheat penny reflects something deeper than misinformation. It reflects a longing for connection to the past, to a time when money felt heavier and history felt closer. That longing is real, and it shapes collecting culture. The Lincoln cent of 1999 exists in the shadow of the wheat era. While it is not a wheat penny, it borrows its identity from that legacy. Without the wheat cents of the past, no modern penny would inspire such curiosity. Stories continue to circulate of unusual finds, coins pulled from old rolls, collections, or forgotten containers that appear unusually well preserved. These moments keep belief alive and remind people that patience matters. Markets do not reward noise forever. They reward truth, rarity, and narrative. Coins tied to honest stories endure, while exaggerated claims eventually fade. Abraham Lincoln once said that the strength of a nation lies in its people. Coin collecting reflects that idea perfectly. Value comes not from metal alone, but from human attention, care, and memory. If you ever hold a 1999 D Lincoln cent that looks unusually sharp, clean, and untouched, do not rush to spend it, and do not rush to believe myths either. Look carefully. Learn patiently. Preservation is the real power. In the end, real fortunes in coin collecting are not built overnight. They are built through understanding history deeply, respecting facts, and recognizing that even ordinary coins can become extraordinary when time, survival, and truth finally align. Next coin. The story of the 1993 Lincoln cent with no mint mark begins with a misunderstanding that many people share, and that misunderstanding itself is part of the coin's modern mystery. By 1993, the wheat penny design was already long gone, replaced decades earlier by newer reverses. Yet collectors and everyday people alike often connect any old-feeling Lincoln cent with the legendary wheat era. That confusion is not ignorance. It is nostalgia speaking, and nostalgia has power in the coin world. The absence of a mint mark on a 1993 Lincoln cent tells us something specific and important. It means the coin was struck in Philadelphia, the birthplace of American coinage. Philadelphia coins have always carried a certain quiet authority. They do not announce themselves with letters, yet they represent the foundation of U.S. minting history. By the early 1990s, America was changing rapidly. Technology was accelerating, cash registers were modernizing, and coins were beginning to feel less personal than they once did. The 1993 Lincoln cent entered circulation during the shift, passing through hands that were already looking ahead, not down at spare change. That lack of attention is exactly what shaped its story. Unlike the classic wheat pennies made of solid copper, the 1993 cent represented a new era of materials. Its copper appearance masked a different internal structure, reflecting economic decisions made quietly behind the scenes. Coins like this were designed for efficiency, not admiration, and that utilitarian purpose shaped how they were treated. Most 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln cents lived fast, unremarkable lives. They moved endlessly through pockets, machines, and drawers, rarely resting long enough to be noticed. Scratches, discoloration, and wear accumulated quickly. Perfection was never expected, and preservation was never planned. Yet within that massive sea of ordinary coins, time began its slow filtering process. Coins with exceptional strikes, unusual surfaces, or subtle minting irregularities quietly separated themselves from the rest. Not because they were intended to be rare, but because chance decided they would be. Collectors understand that value does not always come from age alone. It comes from condition, survival, and story. A 1993 Lincoln cent with no mint mark in extraordinary condition tells a story of avoidance, avoiding circulation, damage, and neglect in an era when almost nothing was saved intentionally. There is also fascination around coins that exist at the crossroads of change. The 1993 cent stands between older traditions and modern mass production. It is not ancient, yet it is no longer new. That in-between status creates curiosity, and curiosity drives collector interest. Lincoln's portrait remained unchanged, steady and familiar. His presence connects every Lincoln cent, no matter the year, to a deeper American narrative. Even without wheat ears on the reverse, the spirit of continuity remains. That emotional link is something collectors never ignore. Stories often surface about modern Lincoln cents discovered years later in astonishing condition, pulled from forgotten rolls or untouched storage. These moments remind people that value does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits quietly, testing patience. The idea that a simple 1-cent coin could someday create life-changing value is not built on fantasy alone. Coin history is full of examples where overlooked pieces gained importance as time passed and surviving examples became fewer. Condition is everything with coins like this. Because so few were saved intentionally, the gap between common and exceptional grows wider each year. That widening gap is where long-term potential lives. The market rewards understanding more than excitement. Those who rush often miss what those who study eventually see. Coins tied to misunderstood eras often mature slowly, then suddenly attract attention. A 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is not a wheat penny, but it carries something equally important: a lesson in transition. It represents how quickly objects move from everyday use into historical context. Many people still spend these coins without a second thought. That is how history continues to repeat itself. Value passes through hands unnoticed until someone stops and looks closer. The belief that a coin can change a fortune overnight should be understood symbolically, not recklessly. True transformation comes from knowledge, timing, and preservation, not impulse. Lincoln himself believed deeply in patience and endurance. In that sense, every Lincoln cent reflects his philosophy. Progress happens slowly, and recognition often arrives late. In the end, the 1993 Lincoln cent with no mint mark is not powerful because of hype. It is powerful because it exists at the edge of memory and modernity. For those who understand its place in history, it represents possibility, the quiet kind that grows over time and rewards those who pay attention. Next coin. The story of the 1974 Lincoln cent begins in an era of change. America was deep into the 1970s, a decade marked by transformation, uncertainty, and a shift in both culture and economy. While political debates and social movements captured headlines, the unassuming Lincoln penny quietly circulated, passing from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, almost unnoticed. Yet within that simplicity lies a story of hidden value. The 1974 penny carried no mint mark, signaling that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the original home of American coinage. Philadelphia coins have always held a symbolic weight. They are, in a way, the heart of the U.S. Mint, and their unmarked surfaces reflect a quiet authority. Even without grandeur, they represent the foundation upon which American currency has been built. In the mid-1970s, coins like the 1974 penny were everywhere, yet nowhere remarkable. They were spent and forgotten, accumulated in jars, and exchanged daily without fanfare. That everyday treatment is paradoxically what makes them intriguing to collectors today. In a world where millions were produced, the surviving pristine coins are whispers of chance and fortune. Lincoln's face, etched with calm resolve, graced the obverse of every penny. It's a visage familiar to generations, a constant reminder of both history and continuity. Holding a 1974 penny connects the holder not just to a transaction, but to a lineage of American values, patience, and persistence. Copper, the core material of the 1974 penny, speaks to both durability and resilience. By this time, the Mint had begun experimenting with cost-saving alloys in some coinage, yet the Lincoln cent maintained its largely copper composition, a subtle nod to tradition in an era of rapid change. While the majority of these pennies were ordinary, some escaped the routine grind of circulation. Coins that avoided deep scratches, stains, or bends became rare examples of survival against the odds. Collectors today seek these survivors because they are tangible proof that careful preservation can yield astonishing results. There is a quiet thrill in the rarity of a perfect or near-perfect 1974 penny. Unlike ancient coins or those with dramatic historical events attached, its value comes from subtlety, the beauty of a coin that was everywhere but managed to remain untouched. That quiet rarity often draws collectors more than overt scarcity. Stories abound in collector communities of 1974 pennies discovered in untouched bank rolls, hidden drawers, or forgotten collections. Each discovery reinforces the lesson that coins often hide extraordinary value in plain sight. Even a coin produced in the millions can hold the power to surprise decades later. The market recognizes that value is a combination of history, survival, and condition. A 1974 penny in flawless condition is a testament not only to the minting process but also to the whims of fate. Every crease avoided, every scratch missed, adds a layer of distinction and desirability. In addition to physical preservation, the coin carries emotional weight. It represents the everyday American experience of the 1970s, the quiet, consistent work, the unassuming transactions, and the understated continuity of a nation moving forward amid uncertainty. Collectors are drawn to this connection as much as to the coin itself. Even minor minting anomalies, such as subtle die cracks, doubled features, or color variations, can elevate a 1974 penny above its peers. What was once a minor imperfection in mass production can become a coveted treasure in the hands of those who understand its rarity. The beauty of this penny is not just in its metal but in its story. Each 1974 cent is a snapshot of history frozen in copper. They passed through countless hands, witnessed the rise of modern technology, and survived an era when coins were often treated as disposable. Collectors often emphasize that holding such a coin is holding patience itself. The 1974 penny is proof that time can transform ordinary objects into remarkable artifacts. A coin's journey from circulation to collection mirrors the passage of years and the evolution of appreciation. Many people still overlook coins like this in jars, drawers, or on countertops. They see pennies as everyday currency, not as historical artifacts or potential investments. That lack of attention is exactly what allows exceptional examples to gain significance over time. The idea that one coin could change a person's fortune may sound improbable, yet history shows that rare, well-preserved coins often fetch prices far beyond expectation. In the right condition, a 1974 Lincoln penny with no mint mark can move into a realm of surprising value. The coin's copper surface, resilient yet delicate, is a canvas that tells its own story. Color variations, luster, and strike clarity all contribute to the coin's individuality. Each perfect 1974 penny is unique, a small masterpiece shaped by production and chance alike. In the end, the 1974 Lincoln penny is more than a piece of currency. It is a bridge between everyday life and historical significance. For the fortunate holder of a pristine example, it represents opportunity, continuity, and the quiet thrill of discovering value where most see only ordinary metal. Finally, this coin serves as a reminder of the patience and foresight required in collecting. Its story teaches that even objects from seemingly ordinary years can hold hidden power, and that recognition and reward often come to those who observe carefully and wait faithfully. In the world of coin collecting, the 1974 Lincoln penny with no mint mark stands as a testament to chance, history, and timeless potential.